Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to sit down and have a look through the Twitter account of a conservative Australian man. And we all know how I feel about conservative Australians, so we are in for a treat today. At least I don't have to listen to him talk. You know, we saved ourselves there. This account was sent to me like ages ago, and it's just taken me a really long time to get around to it. I don't remember who told me to look through this, so I apologize. But to whoever did, thank you. I appreciate it. And instead, I will say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Nyx of the Eternal Night. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for all of your support. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. It starts at as little as only £1 a month and it means a lot. So thank you. Let's get into the fun tweets. It's day 5 in quarantine for me. I'm unjuiced, and in total honesty, the most severe symptoms I experienced was a dry mouth, sore throat, minor body aches, and flu-like symptoms. I said it since day 1 that this is the biggest scam in human history to push the New World Order. So, I will never understand this COVID take, but because you personally didn't experience severe symptoms, it means it's not a massive deal. I'm really glad that COVID didn't impact you super badly. Good for you. However, that is not the case for many people. You've seen the, death toll that it caused, right? You saw how overwhelmed the hospitals were. You saw how horrific and terrible it was, and how people are still negatively impacted by it quite poorly, you know? I'm really glad that you didn't get messed up by it too bad. That's great. When I had COVID as well, I also wasn't great, but it was just like the flu, which sucks. I felt awful. It was like the flu. It was really bad for a couple days, and then I just felt off for a little while, and then I just had a bit of a cough and vertigo, which wasn't fun, for a few weeks. So it wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't great. However, my sister, who is 19 and is very fit and healthy, was affected so badly she ended up in hospital and having to have a heart operation. It affects everyone differently, bro. Hey men, I'll be straight up with you. The majority of women right now are yearning for real masculine men. Your masculine energy is needed. I have questions about the capitalization of this sentence. Why does it read, hey men, I'll be straight up with you. The majority of women right now are yearning for masculine men. Your masculine energy is needed. I know that that's how I write. I write in all lowercase and then I capitalize the first letter of words I want to emphasize in a sentence. And I know that's not correct English. That's just how I write. That's how a lot of us write at this point, right? Yeah, you know. But I don't understand this at all. I don't believe that was his purpose. If it was, it reads really poorly. But even just in terms of normal grammar, writing, etc., I don't understand the amount of capitalization in here. Why is you, women, masculine, men, and energy all capitalized? Why? It reads weird. But also just untrue. Just untrue. The majority of women are not yearning for masculine men right now. What does that even mean? Everyone has a different idea of what masculine is, and I feel like a lot of these people mean it in a toxic way. I have no problem with masculine energy. I have no problem with masculinity. I have a problem with men who make being masculine and transforming masculinity into meaning the only emotion I feel is anger and I hate everything feminine. I have a problem with that, and I don't yearn for that. I don't want a man who thinks that he can control me and have power over me and the only emotion he can feel is anger and that he gets to dictate what I do. I'm not vibing with that. I'm not yearning for that, and most women aren't. At least every single woman I know isn't. So you can have masculine energy. You can be a masculine man and still not a masculine man, you know? Yeah, you get it. Until women pay the exact same amount for car insurance, especially from the ages 16 to 30 years old, and not to mention become bricklayers, concreters, and plumbers, etc., then these woke victimizers are not fighting for equality. They fight for equality for what benefits only them. Have you ever considered that maybe there's a reason why car insurance for men between 16 and 30 is higher? It's because you're more likely to get into an accident. Men are more reckless drivers. They get into accidents at a higher rate, so therefore car insurance is higher. It's done based off of statistics. That's why it is like that. Women, on average, are more cautious drivers. Young men are the most reckless drivers. They're the most likely to drink drive. They're the most likely to speed. They're the most likely to get into accidents. That's why the car insurance is higher. And like also that's done on a basis of like, if I crash my car, my insurance price is going to go up, and then I would be paying more than men my age, potentially. I don't know how much car insurance is here. I don't have a car here. I don't remember how much my car insurance was at home, and I don't know how much it is compared to men, but I know that's why. If men on average were more cautious drivers, the price would be the same, but they're not. And as much as men like to be like, women are bad drivers, it's like, statistically speaking, men are worse, so. And not to mention become bricklayers, concreters, and plumbers. Like, women are bricklayers, concreters, and plumbers. There are women in those areas of expertise. They are male dominated, and there's a few reasons for that. And one of those reasons is that because it's male dominated, a lot of these men make women feel inferior and unsafe and unwelcome in these spaces. So women don't want to go into these jobs. Yeah, like women don't want to be in an environment where they don't feel safe. Why are these the issues that are so pressing to you? I love that we're here talking about like fair pay, equal opportunity, equal work, like stop being objectified and sexualized, and we're talking about like abuse and all of that, and we're talking about these as our priorities, and you're here like, oh, but are you plumbers though? You don't have to pay as much in car insurance, so you're actually the privileged ones. Like, bro, if these are your biggest issues, you are exactly proving the point. Just a reminder that if you tell a lie long enough, you'll eventually believe it to be true. How many lies have you believed over the past 2 years? I mean, this is true in a sense. Like, my whole thing, and a thing that has helped me a lot through my growth and my journey through like trauma and eating disorders and all that, is like fake it till you make it. I tell myself lies, which aren't really lies, until I like believe it. That's what positive affirmation is, right? You just kind of say like, I'm great to yourself every day until you believe that you are great. Like it does work psychologically. It does work like that. However, I think this is directly tied to talking about like COVID, which you're lying to yourself and saying that it's not a big deal, and you believe that to be true. So we can point fingers all day, but me believing that COVID is a big deal and is a problem and harmed people is backed up by actual evidence, statistics, and science, whereas you believing that it's not is backed up by you not wanting to believe that it is. So you're the one lying to yourself, and you have believed it, so I guess you did prove your point that, yeah, you tell yourself a lie enough, you do believe it. Good. Great. Just in, more people die from obesity than starvation. I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure that's not true. There are a lot of starving people in the world. Like a lot of starving people for a bunch of different reasons. But like poverty is a really massive, massive issue, just like globally. Food shortages in a lot of places, that's a really massive issue. Like a lot of people die from starvation and malnutrition. You totally pulled this out of your ass. Like a ridiculous amount of people die from starvation, which is completely preventable. We have enough food in the world for everyone. We just don't share it. We have more than enough food in the world for everyone. We just don't share it. And obesity, what is the problem here? I just want to know what you think your solution is here. Because you're like, well, more people die from obesity than starvation. Okay, so even if that was true, are you trying to say that you actively are trying to help people? You're trying to help obese people live longer lives. And there are a whole range of reasons why people may be obese, and a lot of it comes down to genetics. There's a lot of like disability can come into play. There are a lot of factors as to why people may be obese. And ultimately, you as an individual yelling at someone to just go on a diet isn't helpful. Whereas you can actively help starving people. And if there are obese people who are going on a weight loss journey for their health and they need like to raise money in order to afford medical care to help them with that, then you can donate to them too. If you really think that that is going to be bettering the world and you want to help people in that, then you absolutely can help people in that however you can. But like, you're sitting here and preaching this as though you're doing anything to help anyone, but you aren't doing anything. So like, shut up, bro. You don't actually care. You just hate fat people. Society accepts that women have days or a week, a month where they are emotional and moody. Society hasn't even recognized what it's like to walk the streets and live life with a man's level of testosterone. The masculine urge is so strong. Dude, that's just like not even remotely fucking true. Society hasn't accepted that women have a few days to a week, a month where they are emotional, irregular and such, because like people play it down so much. People love to tell you it's not an excuse. People make you go to work. People make you exist as a normal person like it's every day, when like some people are in like paralyzing amounts of pain. People are like existing in pain. I personally get extremely depressed at the time of my period. I know when my period is coming because I'm like actively just really not doing okay in my brain. And I'm just not feeling great, you know? And I still have to function and exist and do my job and interact with people and act as though everything is totally okay, because that is expected of me. And like sometimes I'll be a little snippy, but it's nothing compared to how I'm feeling in my brain. Yeah? And a lot of people who are on their periods are going through the same thing. They'll be like, oh, I have a bit of a cramp. Because they're not allowed to express how much pain they're in, because then they look weak, because then they will get ridiculed, they'll get judged, they'll get like told off and reprimanded. So it's played down a lot. People don't care. Society is not built to care about people going through menstruation. It's just not. Society was built by men. Society exists knowing full well men walk around with testosterone and being men. That's why men get away with so much shit. That's why it's always, well, you were asking for it. Well, maybe you shouldn't wear that. Hey, honey, it's inappropriate to wear that to work. You're distracting your male co-workers. Hey, 14-year-old girl, your skirt is too short. It's distracting the male teachers. No, we are constantly reminded that men are walking around with testosterone and existing as men and like being told that they will do whatever they want and it doesn't matter who gets hurt and that it's women's fault for them doing shit. Like, bro, we are aware. You don't shut up about it. And you do some terrible things because of it. So many men do awful, horrific, violent things. And it's like, it's just being a man, violence, man, bleh. Whereas like women, what's the most harm women do on their periods and how often do you hear about it? You know, like comparatively, like calm down, stop lying. Never apologize for being so passionately obsessed. Put in the work, stay in the gym for 3 hours, pull an all-nighter for your side hustle and business, read a new book the entire day. Being positively and passionately obsessed is a gift, not a behavior to be suppressed. I agree with this one. As someone who becomes obsessed and fixated on things a lot, and I have my fixations, I absolutely agree. I loving things. And me and Kat have like 3 podcast episodes just entirely about this. But like, it's so fun and so joyful to be like obsessed with something and to just have something that brings you joy. And I don't mean in like a capitalist sense of being obsessed with your work and like working yourself to death to earn a ton of money. Like that's painful and that like makes life really difficult when you're super obsessed with your work. Being obsessed with something or being passionate about something is just such a fun, joyful thing, and it gives you motivation to like get through the day. It gives you something to look forward to. It gives you something to talk about and like just do things for and about. It's so fun. It's so good to love things. And we've come to this like weird place where so many people just like judge you for loving things or having fixations to any degree. And especially when it comes to things that like women love, that are like typically things women love. Like he uses like going to the gym and reading a book and like doing a side hustle as like things to be obsessed with. And I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem with like being obsessed with like sports or other things that are typically seen as masculine. But like I am into K-pop. Right? Like that's something that I love, that I dedicate a lot of my time to, a lot of my life to, because it brings me joy. It's a good escapism. I love music. I'm a musician, and I love music. I love content. I love seeing people happy and doing things, and I like forming connections and relationships with people. I love having parasocial relationships. Like this is a whole different topic, and I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on that, but I believe that parasocial relationships are very healthy, and they are a form of just like connection that is so lovely and comforting to have, as long as you understand boundaries and you understand that it is one-sided and you don't like put your entire life in someone's hands. I think that they are great. And I do plan on making a whole video about that over on my second channel if you want to see a video about that at some point. Little side tangent there. And before people come at me in the comments, my therapist also agrees that it is very helpful and healthy and encourages this of me. So like chill. But I find it great to love things and to be passionate about things. And I think that we should do that. And there shouldn't be shame about loving and being passionate about things, whether that be a music artist or a music genre, whether it be fashion or a book series or books in general or a TV series or a movie or crocheting, like anything. If you have something that you really, really love and it brings you joy, you should be able to be like obsessed with that. You should love that thing and you shouldn't feel shame around that. And you're absolutely entitled to adore that thing and dedicate a lot of your time to it and to like have it as a very big part of your life. You are valid in that. And I think that it's so beautiful and so wonderful. And I would love to hear all about all of your obsessions and things that you are passionate about. So go to the comments, talk about things that you love, like write paragraphs about the things that you love, and I will try to read them because I love hearing people talk about things that they are passionate about. Tell me like your favorite artists, tell me your favorite song, tell me your favorite movie, your favorite book. Just talk to me about them because I want to know. Anyway, this is a take that I agree with, but I'm sure he would be misogynistic and he would laugh at me for loving K-pop. So I don't know how much he even agrees with himself, but I agree with him if you look at it at a broad sense. As long as you are not harming people and you aren't like, as long as you aren't letting it control your life in a sense where it makes you like miserable, you know what I mean? Like some people become like aggressive about it, in which they're attacking people who like different things or attacking people who dislike it. Like it's fine to be a bit defensive because it's something that you love, but it's different to like attack people for having a different opinion. As long as you aren't hurting people, as long as it is actually making you happy and you aren't allowing it to make you sad, then it's perfectly fine. And I think a beautiful, beautiful thing. Your triggers are your responsibility. It isn't the world's obligation to tiptoe around you. I agree and disagree at the same time. It's a difficult one purely because everyone has different triggers. It is absolutely impossible to avoid everyone's triggers. Like I used to have a trigger of just like seeing the ocean, and like sometimes you have to drive past the beach, you know, like that's just something I have to get over, I have to deal with. But in terms of like speaking about specific things, like if you were talking about like a diet that you are on, right? Like if you are on the internet and you were talking about that and you have a platform where that is not the main focus of your platform and you just like tweet about that one day, I believe that you should put a trigger warning on that because that is a very widely recognized trigger. That triggers like millions of people. So I think that you should put a trigger warning on something like that because that is something that is triggering for a lot of people. And you aren't expecting that when you're going onto your social media timeline, which for some people is like a bit of a safe place, you know? But then in real life, situations, like you can't control what the people around you are talking about. You're going to hear people talk about their diets and stuff, and it is really hard and it is really triggering and it's awful. And so you do have to self-regulate that because you can't control what the people around you are speaking about. That was a large part of my eating disorder therapy, was just basically being told, like, people are going to talk about stuff and you're not going to be able to control that. You have to learn how to exist with people talking about triggering stuff around you. And that is just something you have to live with. It's triggering and it's difficult, but it is unfortunately something that you have to deal with. However, if you tell them that it is triggering and you would rather they not talk about it in your presence and they continue to do so, that is on them. It's not that difficult to do it when you're not around. I've been in a situation where that happened, where someone was talking to me about like fasting, and I was like, hey, I am not comfortable talking about this. Please stop talking about this. I don't like it. It's triggering for me. And it's just not healthy for me to be around this conversation. And they got upset with me. And I'm like, I told you why. Like, go away. If you're going to speak about this, speak about it while I'm not here, please. And then if they don't respect that, then that's on them, you know? Like, there are some things where you can't help but be triggered by. I have really weird triggers. Sometimes people just breathing is triggering for me if I'm having a bad day. So like, I understand that my triggers largely are my responsibility when it comes to smaller, more niche triggers. But when it's like a general, broader thing, I do believe people do hold some sort of responsibility. If you were talking about like a toxic relationship that you were in and specifics of that, or if you were talking about a time when you were attacked or assaulted, or if you're talking about specific situations that you know apply to a lot of people, then I believe it is your responsibility to put a trigger warning on it. Absolutely. If you are on specifically a platform that revolves around like dieting or whatever, if you have like a fitness blog and you are talking about your diet on your fitness blog, then no, you don't have to put a trigger warning there because you are a fitness blog and that is what people are following you for, you know? It's all about context. It's all about context, but you are not responsible for other people's triggers, no, but you should be mindful and respectful of other people's triggers. Like a lot of my videos, I don't preface with trigger warnings for like homophobia and transphobia, etc. But I also am aware that that's expected when going into my videos because that is largely what I talk about. So I don't often preface it because it's kind of just implied because it's one of my videos. And you can tell by like the thumbnail, by the title and the way I introduce my videos, what is going to be included in the video, you know? Like you don't even necessarily have to tag like trigger warning eating disorder. If you just say like my experience with an eating disorder, the trigger warning is implied. You know, you just have to preface, you have to give context, you have to have people know what you're talking about so they have the option to leave or not read. If they choose to read or consume the content anyway, that is their decision. I often will see like trigger warning and I'm like, I'm fine, I can handle it. And then I read it, I'm like, why did I read that? That was very triggering. It's like, I did it to myself, you know? The new society and government is trying to put us all in the same box. We are not crabs. Don't be afraid to shove that box right back up their ass. We have the power to create, grow, inspire, and be ourselves. Once again, we agree. I totally agree with you, Chris. We do have the power to be ourselves. We shouldn't be put in boxes. Express yourselves how you want. Exist as you wish to. Do what makes you happy. As long as you aren't hurting yourself or anyone else, then do whatever, man. You do you. Enjoy your life to the fullest. Enjoy your life. Have fun. Be yourself. I agree. We're going to end on that one because I am going to choose to interpret that as being just lovely and accepting of everyone because that's the only way I can interpret that, and I don't want to see any more of his takes to take that away. So I'm gonna leave it there. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I'm here twice a week, so if you want to see more from me, I would love to see you back here again too. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And a huge, huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Toulouse, Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Ida, Queer Corey, Raven, Danielle, Elias, Evie, Nyx of the Eternal Night, Rin, Jewel, Sparrow, Apollo, Taylor's Trying, Matto, and Chris. I love and appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos a day early, as well as podcasts a week early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, vlogs, mini bonus podcasts, live streams, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.